Hello everyone and welcome back to another food video. After we got back from Gatlinburg, I cooked up the club steak that we did not eat while we were there. It was delicious. I wasn't super hungry that evening, so I just had some beef sausage with spicy mustard. I got started on my meal plan the next day, and here it is. I'm making lasagna, a chicken bacon ranch casserole, vegetable beef soup, a keto chow cheesecake, and some salmon with broccolini. Here is my grocery haul for the day. I've got some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, bacon, almond flour, 2 pounds of mozzarella cheese, 2 pounds of sharp cheddar, some green beans, some creme brulee flavored coffee, cream cheese, ricotta cheese, heavy whipping cream, almond milk, Ultima electrolyte powder, celery, radishes, broccolini, cabbage, and a carton of free-range eggs. We are getting close to not needing to buy eggs anymore, which is pretty exciting. I had a pretty small meal before I started meal prepping. This is about a cup of ground beef with about a tablespoon of butter and some hot sauce. I'm starting on the bacon first for my chicken bacon ranch casserole. I'm going to cook this the same way I always do my bacon, which is on a baking sheet and put it in a cold oven set to 350 until it's done. I like to cook my bacon myself when I'm adding it to recipes because I find that it has so much more flavor. I'm also going to cook the chicken thighs at the same time as the bacon. I'll lay them all out on a baking sheet and put them in there. The seasoning I'll be using is McCormick's ranch seasoning. After the chicken and bacon are started in the oven, I will start on the meat sauce for the lasagna. When the ground beef is about halfway cooked through, I'm pouring off all the juices, and then I'll add in the minced garlic and chopped onions to finish cooking through. Now I'm going to start prepping my vegetables for my vegetable beef soup. You can see that the Instant Pot is on in the background. I forgot to record. I just put about 3 pounds of stew meat in the Instant Pot with some homemade bone broth, and we'll let it go for about 35 minutes. You can really use whatever vegetables you like for your vegetable beef soup, but I like to use radishes to replace potatoes, and celery, cabbage, some frozen onion, and just a little bit of frozen peas and carrots. I'm using some jarred marinara sauce for the meat sauce, just for convenience, but you can make your own. I've got 2 different brands here that I'm going to use because I made a double batch, which ended up being way too much meat sauce, so I did end up freezing half of it. Maybe next week we'll have some spaghetti or something. Just mixed those 2 jars in with the meat, and we'll let that heat up. I'm going to flash steam some broccoli to add into the chicken bacon ranch casserole. I'm just gonna steam it on high heat for just a few minutes until it becomes bright green. My lasagna is just about ready to assemble, but to get the ricotta cheese ready, I'm going to put it in a bowl and mix it in with an egg and some spices. This lasagna recipe is from Maria Emmerich's website, her protein layer lasagna. The key to making this lasagna low carb, other than using a sugar-free pasta sauce, is using deli meat as your noodle layers. It does not affect the taste of the lasagna at all. It helps hold the shape of the lasagna very well. And of course, you are decreasing the amount of carbohydrates in the recipe overall. So if you want this recipe, just go to Maria Emmerich's website. I tend to kind of deviate from the recipe a little bit, but it still tastes delicious. Here is the lasagna fully assembled. I'm actually going to cover it up and stick it in the refrigerator so that way we can eat it fresh tomorrow. My beef is cooked and I'm ready to add my vegetables into the soup. I've transferred it into a large stock pot because I know this will all take up a lot of room. I did forget to say that I was also adding green beans to the soup as well. So once I get all these vegetables added in, I'm just going to simmer it on the stove for however long it takes, and then I'll add whatever seasonings to taste, and it'll be ready for dinner tonight. I don't follow any specific recipe for this. I just throw in whatever I feel like and add in whatever vegetables I feel like. My bacon has been cooked and my chicken has been cooked for a little bit and cooled off for a while, so I'm going to start chopping them up to add into the casserole. This recipe was inspired by the chicken bacon ranch recipe on wholesomeyum.com, but other than that, I did not follow the recipe very closely. But if you want to see the original recipe, go to Wholesome Yum. So I've taken all of the drippings and juices from the chicken and I've got it simmering in a pan. And I'm just going to add some cream cheese to it and some cheddar cheese and heavy whipping cream. And I also added some garlic and salt and pepper to taste. And I just kept whisking it and adding different amounts of cheese and cream until I got to the consistency that I liked. Once that was done, I added half to the chicken and half to the broccoli. My containers were kind of full, so that was just to make it easier to mix. And then I added them both in together and mixed them some more. In retrospect, I probably would have made the sauce a little bit thicker. It did tend to sink to the bottom of the casserole. Once I got those pretty well evenly mixed, I did top the casserole with some mozzarella cheese and some cheddar cheese. This recipe is also going to be baked the next day, so I covered it with foil and stuck it in the refrigerator. Here is what a bowl of my soup looks like. It's what I had for dinner that night. When I eat a meal that's not very meat heavy but has a lot of vegetables in it, it tends to not keep me full for very long. So I ended up having another meal later in the evening. This is just a deli meat cheese wrap with some pepperoni in it and chipotle aioli. The next day I baked the lasagna, same as the recipe instructions called for. Here is what it looks like. I actually had to put it in a bowl. It turned out more soupy than usual, but it is normal for it to be a little bit on the runny side because you don't have those noodles to absorb the moisture, but it was delicious. For dessert this week, I'm going to be making a cheesecake. Cheesecake is one of the easiest desserts to make low carb because you use most of the same ingredients. You just replace the sweetener and the graham crackers in the crust. So I'm going to be using almond flour and melted butter and some granular sweetener for the crust. And then I will mix that up until it forms a soft ball and press it down into the bottom of my cheesecake pan. Bake the crust in the oven until it turns slightly brown. You got to be careful though because almond flour does not brown up as much as a regular cheesecake crust would. Like I said, most of these ingredients are going to be the same as a regular cheesecake. I've got my softened cream cheese, eggs, granular sweetener, a mixture of heavy whipping cream and almond milk, and surprise, this is going to be a salted caramel keto chow cheesecake, and the recipe can be found on the Keto Chow website. My cream cheese was not softened quite enough, so I did have to spend quite a bit of time mixing this to get all the lumps out. I tried to remove as much of that footage as I could. Once that is combined and smooth, I'm going to add my salted caramel keto chow and mix that in as well. Then I am going to slowly add in my heavy whipping cream and almond milk mixture until it is thick but pourable. I ended up using the entire amount. Once the mixture is complete, pour it into your cheesecake pan and bake per the instructions. And once it's completed, it will need to cool off for several hours before you can eat it. That evening, I baked the chicken bacon ranch casserole and had that for dinner. It was pretty good. Again, I think it would have been better if the sauce was a little bit thicker. The cheesecake turned out really good and was a hit with the family. The next day is Saturday, and I made some bacon and eggs with some of our backyard chicken eggs, and it was good. I was craving something crunchy, so I settled for some leftover celery sticks and about 2 servings of ranch. That night, we had our nearly weekly Mexican takeout, and this is the fajita mexicana with chicken, chorizo, steak, and shrimp. And I just add some sour cream, a little bit of salsa, and lettuce to make it into a big salad. Sunday morning, I had leftover lasagna. I like this dish because it reheats very well and actually holds together a little bit better once you reheat it. For supper tonight, I'm going to be cooking a 2-pound bag of salmon. This is farmed and not wild caught, unfortunately, but that's what Salmon's Club had. I've got my salmon fillets thawed out and patted dry. The seasoning I like to use is this fishmonger seasoning from Fire and Smoke. And then I will prepare the broccolini that I got. Again, using the same vegetable seasoning I use with my other vegetables. Today I have, for my fat source, is the leftover bacon grease from all the bacon I cooked recently. And I'll mix that together and bake it at the same time with the salmon. And that's what my husband and maybe my son will have for dinner. I'm just not really a big salmon eater. Here is the baked salmon and the broccolini all done. What I will be having tonight for dinner is leftover chicken casserole. It reheats really well and actually has more flavor the next day. And we still have some cheesecake left, so that'll be my dessert. And that is my grocery hauls for the week, all of the meals that I cooked this week, and everything I ate this week up until Sunday the 10th. Next week we'll start a full week of grocery hauls, meal planning and prepping, and what I ate that week. Thanks for watching.